This is David Wiens, and I'm going to be making a presentation this morning. And I just want to say a little bit about myself before we begin. I am a dairy producer from the southeastern part of Manitoba, right pretty much in the middle of the country. And I'm also a board member on Dairy Farmers of Canada, as well as chair of Dairy Farmers of Manitoba. And so my role in all of this is I was selected to chair the committee for proAction, and so we've had some very busy months here especially since last year. But we also are wanting to bring this the development of this program to completion by July of this year, when it goes to the delegates of Dairy Farmers of Canada's annual meeting, and of course that will be then put on the floor for consideration. Now, I think this is we're really thrilled about this program. I think it's a real game changer in the Canadian dairy industry. It's every once in a while it seems as though there's big changes that come to the industry. And I would say this would be one of them. So I'm just going to go on to a little bit about the average Canadian, and what can we say about the average Canadian. Most Canadians live in about 6 cities in Canada: Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Ottawa, Gatineau, Montreal, and Toronto. And then we also have most Canadians that are also living close to urban centers throughout the country. And many of those Canadians are commuting into work every day. Also should say that for the most part, the average grocery bill for Canadians amounts to about 9% of their annual income. And just to compare this with a few other countries, it would be, for example, in the U.S., it would be about 7%. And in Australia, it would be, and Germany, it's around 11%. And in Japan, that number would be at 14%. So as you can see, we're fairly well positioned in terms of cost to consumers for groceries in Canada. And I would also like to say, of course, that where's the connection that most consumers have to animals would be their pets, and so that's something that we have to be aware of, because we have to be able to interact with the Canadians. And so then, what does the average dairy farmer look like? The average dairy farmer would be 47 years old, and the family's likely been on the farm from anywhere from 1 to 3 generations, involved in the community, and basically works on the farm with their animals 365 days a year, anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day, and also involved in their local communities. The average farm size in Canada is about 70 milking cows, and I think it could be said that most farmers love to work with their cows, and of course also love to work on the land. And so that's a little bit about what you could expect to see in the average dairy farmer. In this list, you can see that there's quite a few codes here, or rules and regulations that we see. And basically, what this is just an indication that we are a highly regulated industry, and it's not just for dairy; it's for other agriculture as well. These rules and regulations come out of Ontario, for example, but really with a little bit of variation, you'll see very much the same thing throughout Canada. So we like to be our own boss. We do answer to others, but I guess we could say that ultimately we answer to, when we talk about boss, maybe it's Bossy the cow that we answer to, because she's the one that demands our time and attention for the most part. But these are all the other things that we have to deal with. I'd also like to say that in terms of how we relate to other organizations, what happens what happens in the cattle world in terms of beef producers or on the cropping side. Many of us as dairy producers are also involved in those areas, and so we are not only onto ourselves, but we overlap into other areas. We also work very closely with the things like environmental farm plan. But in this case here, we've done a lot of work with the National Farm Animal Care Council, and they've been also instrumental in helping us to develop some of our programs concerning the proAction initiative. We've been investing in various things on the farm to help us in terms of the time temperature recorders, for example. They first came in the 90s, and it was part of the Canadian Quality Milk Program, and it helps us to monitor the temperature of the milk and also the wash temperatures of the tank and the pipelines and so on. And so there's been a significant investment on the part of farmers to make these kind of improvements on the farm. And a lot of this is, and certainly in terms of CQM, we can have stories about about how we produce milk and how we responsibly do these things. But here it's more than anecdote. It's this kind of equipment actually helps to prove that we are staying on top of these things. There's other areas too where farmers have already made significant investments. We have the auto cow brushes and the ventilation in the barn, the mattresses. There's significant money that has been invested on the in terms of improving animal care, animal comfort. It's increasingly important to us as dairy farmers, and so we continue to go along that path. There's in 1 year there's been over 200 dairy barns that have been built in Canada, and that investment would be at a minimum of $200 million. I know that there's a lot of focus on these, in terms of the design of the barns. There's a major focus on cow comfort because we know that has cow comfort is very important, and it's not only the right thing to do, but it also increases the productivity of our animals. We invest in other things too, in terms of dairy herd improvement. Whether in Quebec East, it's producers are involved with Vilacta in terms of recording milk production and making improvements that way. In Ontario West, it's with CanWest DHI. We also have a major focus on improving our breeds through the breed associations. We have classifications. We work with veterinarians, with nutritionists, and with hoof trimmers, with farm management software and so on. These are all ways in which we can do things better on the farm. And so that has been, these have all been significant investments that we've made over the past year. So the question is, so why proAction? Why would we embark on this program when we're already doing all these things? And it's important. proAction is very important for us moving into the future. It's something by which we can protect our brand. And basically, some people call it ultimately a social license, where we can establish that right. We're the professionals when it comes to the production of milk, so providing the marketplace with our wonderful product. So we do have a good reputation out there, But we need to continue to build, to maintain, and to build that level of trust with our consumers. We're starting off on a high point, and we're looking to making improvements. It would be a mistake simply to take these things for granted. So this program is going to help to do that. The other thing about proAction is it's not a piecemeal approach to how we're going to we're going to standardize as a dairy industry from coast to coast, and I think that's really important. I think there's very few other industries that can actually claim that they have one assurance program that will ultimately cover all the producers in a given region. And in this case, it would be all of Canada. And so basically, it will demonstrate responsible stewardship, and that is going to be that's important to consumers. They want to know, and they want to know more about it. It's all about just demonstrating that responsible stewardship with the environment, with animal care, with producing high quality milk, and so we look at that's where this is such a significant step for us. Just to continue on, then, not our consumers are obviously not living on the farms. They're for the most part in the urban areas, and so we know that increasingly consumers have a great concern for the environment. They want to know how the animals are being raised, and what the circumstances that the animals live under, and what kind of relationship ultimately we have with our animals. And so there are some consumers that are a little uneasy about how food is produced because they hear these things. And everybody has access to information, and it doesn't matter whether it's it can be good information, but there's also a lot of false information out there. But they will get the information from somewhere, and we certainly know that we have those groups who are dedicated dedicated to just having farmers go away from animal agriculture altogether. And so we have to counteract that. But it's so important then that we have to establish that trust relationship with our consumers, and that we reflect the values that they have, and we do, and it's very clear that we share those values. But it's important that as being good stewards and being responsible, we have to be transparent. And these programs are not, it's not a window dressing. It's not just something that we talk about. It is meaningful. It is actually happening, and we can prove it, and that's what's important. It's also important to show leadership in these areas. So it's not, we're not going to wait till we get pushed into doing certain things. We do these things because they matter to us. It's important to us, and we will be leaders in bringing these changes about. And simply, our consumers are very concerned about where their food is being sourced from. The proAction, the pro part of it is producers, being proactive, being progressive about this project. It's us as dairy producers being professionals. We have a standard, we have ethics, we have duties, and we have values, and they're clearly indicated. It's not that it's a piecemeal across the country. And of course, action, it's good to see that we've got the capital A on action, because we continue to act on these things every day to make these improvements on our farm. And again, the bottom line is actions will always speak louder than words, and so that is critical to our success as a dairy industry in Canada. And of course, this will be something that will be a requirement for all dairy farmers of Canada. It's not something that's optional for only a part of the producer population. This will include all dairy farmers in Canada, and so that adds to the excitement of the program. There's a number of different modules involved in proAction. Of course, milk quality is something that that we've been involved in for some time, and certainly we we produce a high quality milk, and we compare amongst the best milk produced in the world. Our standards are matched to those countries that are of highest quality, and so we will continue to pursue that. In terms of the food safety, otherwise known as CQM, there's about 94% of producers are already on this program, and so we hope that by July of this year we will have 100% of producers that are registered on the food safety program, and that's been quite an accomplishment, and it also reflects very well on the industry. There's the animal care component. We have a number of years ago, Dairy Farmers of Canada, together with National Farm Animal Care Council and humane societies and veterinarians and other experts in terms of animal care, including producers, of course, put together a code of practice for the care and handling of dairy cattle. And now in this program, that's certainly that code is on all farms. Now a component on this proAction is going to be the animal care assessment module, which will actually measure the results, or animals will be assessed on every farm. And so that's going to, so it's not a matter of simply saying, oh yes, we have the code of practice. This is actually an assessment, and it's going to actually be an audit that will confirm that these things are happening on dairy farms. There's also the biosecurity module, which is in the process of development now. And ultimately it's about preventing any diseases from coming onto the farm. And of course, if you have something happening on the farm in terms of mastitis or whatever other kind of disease, it can be contained within the farm. And of course, if there is something on the farm, it should also help to prevent it from spreading off the farm. That's really the goal in our biosecurity module, and so that's being developed as we speak. There's the livestock traceability. This is 93% of farms now have a premise ID, and and in some provinces there is already a full traceability of animal movement, and we are developing this program, and that will also be rolled out. So it will track the movement of animals. I should say that this particular one is also there's also regulation coming down, federal regulation concerning animal traceability, and we'll certainly be there, and we will be fully prepared for that when that comes into effect. And finally, there's the environment module, which is also being developed now, and 70% of dairy farmers in Canada are already on an environmental farm plan, which is basically developed by producers and provincial governments to protect the environment around the farm. So I'll say a little bit more about that later. Milk quality. So in terms of milk quality, we already have measures in place to show what we're doing, and we have had that for a long time. We know that our standards are among the best and the highest in the world. Milk quality has long been a focus of Canadian dairy farmers, so there's certainly nothing new on this count. And we know that we deal with things like somatic cell and bacteria levels and those freezing point of milk and keeping inhibitors out of the milk. These are things that and that's being tested, And so there's been a lot of care being taken on the part of farmers to ensure that it is only the good quality of milk that leaves the farm. And our quality standards, like I said, they continue to keep pace with those countries around the world that are of the highest standards. And so and a lot of this has been done by regulation in the provinces. So we have been there already, and but we will continue to make improvements even in this area. Then there's the CQM, and here's on this map, you can just see where provinces are at in terms of having producers registered on our Canadian Quality Milk Program. And as you can see, there's a number of provinces that are at 100% already, and there's the rest of the provinces are quickly coming up to that 100% level. The overall average now is at 94%, and so our goal is that by this fall we will have 100% of our producers that are registered on CQM. Just a little more about the CQM is basically it's a food safety program, so it's a HACCP type program, but it was designed for use on dairy farms. I should note that this program has been approved by CFIA, and basically it's designed to maintain milk and meat safety on the dairy farm, and that's through improved management practices, increased communication on the farm, and effective record keeping. And a lot of these things were being done on the farms already, but certainly this program has helped to formalize it, and it's been very effective. I should also say that and of course we're audited on this food safety program every 2 years. There's a full audit, and our assessors or our validators on the farm, 75 in all in Canada, have also been I guess assessed by a third-party assessor, and so he is. They have found that our people are doing a great job, and that they're delivering very consistent validations across the country, which is really good to see. It should be noted that this CQM program has not been designed to replace the existing quality regulations for dairy farms. Farmers must be licensed to ship milk, and there are those dairy regulations that determine the quality levels that are approved for milk. And as regulations are added, or amended in a province, then they would apply to CQM as well. So it is a dynamic program. Then there's animal care is of course very important, and there's many things that are being done in terms of animal welfare on farms. Barns are being built, as I noted earlier. And when they are built or redesigned, there's always a strong focus on these animal care, animal comfort of these facilities. And there's also a lot of interest in the producer community in terms of looking, of learning more about, what research is indicating in terms of animal welfare and animal comfort. And so in whether it's kitchen meetings across the country, or there's Lacta's training program, or even the Cow Signal program, these are all have a strong uptake by producers, so there's a lot of interest, and I mean it's obvious to us that animals that are comfortable will also be more productive animals. Then in terms of the animals, so I said earlier that we had this this code of practice for the care and handling of dairy cattle. That's been developed a number of years ago, and so what has been worked on now is the animal care program workbook. which basically reflects or measures the requirements in our code of practice. And we've actually been through the second pilot program now. We started it would have been in December, and we completed the pilot at the end of January, and so we're compiling the results from that. We had over 100 dairy farms take the second pilot, and so we've received some very good feedback, and so we'll make some tweaks to this program, and then by July of this year, it'll go to the delegates at the Dairy Farmers of Canada AGM, and then we will be ready to roll this on farms this fall. So I would just say too that in terms of developing this code of practice, we had it wasn't only ourselves that were developing this actually the animal care assessment. We worked together with veterinarians and again with humane societies, and also with the National Farm Animal Care Council. We're very instrumental in developing this assessment program, and even there's also been interest on the part of retailers, where we had Tim Hortons involved in the committee as well. And so we'll get into more detail on this animal care assessment in our next webinar. Traceability is another module here, and just to go into a little more detail, basically what it comes to, we want to be able to deal very quickly with any problem that may arrive, and that has to and this should help, especially in terms of a disease outbreak somewhere in the country. We can really get to the source of it very quickly, and we can track the animal movement. We already have traceability of milk, because of course every load of milk from the farm is sampled, and so it can always be traced back. And so this now is doing the animal movement part of it. And so, as I said earlier, in some provinces they are fairly advanced in terms of traceability. It will, and so in this, as we finish the development of this program, it will become part of the proAction initiative as well. And again, it's another indication to consumers. Sometimes, if there's something that can affect consumers' health, I mean, they're going to have a concern about the food, and it's going to be important to be able to give consumers the confidence that when these if it's a disease outbreak or something that happens, we can address it very quickly and go to the source, rather than kind of being caught with saying, well, we really don't know even where to start with this. But we certainly will be able to, especially when this traceability comes into full effect across the country. And of course, the other part of traceability will also include animals that are double tagged at birth. And like I said earlier, the premises will all be ID'd, and animal movement is going to be recorded. And so that will help to reduce response times in emergency situations. And that's going to be very important in terms of consumer confidence in what we are doing. But also, the other thing that'll do for us, it's going to limit the economic and environmental and social impacts of these outbreaks. And we know that we have had experiences, but we know that it's much easier to prevent disease from arriving on the farm than to treat it. But in terms of traceability, just to finish off on that, it helps to give consumers confidence that we are really in control of what's going on, and they need to know that. On the biosecurity, again, it's about the ability to control disease, and so you start talking about traceability, then about biosecurity, and there are many synergies there at the farm level with whether you're talking biosecurity, traceability, or the CQM. And so it's really biosecurity is really taking a preventative approach then to animal health, and we know all too well what happens when you run into these situations. It can impact us, even though we are not we're not really exporters. However, when we had the BSE situation in Canada, when it first hit Canada in 2003, it had a tremendous impact on the cost of our cattle, and so on that front, it had a huge impact on us. So biosecurity, animal health is a priority. Basically, the 4 points there that I'd like to just raise here with biosecurity is, when it is done right, it will help to maintain the profitability of the industry. It'll help to protect human health in terms of disease and food security, and it will protect our service industry, for example, feed suppliers and so on. And it will also maintain current and access new markets, whether it's domestic or international. So there's some real benefits. And here again, in terms of developing this program, we're working together with a number of veterinarians. There's farmers involved, experts from the traceability file, and so that this is going to be a very well-balanced program once it is fully developed. Then there's the environment module that is being worked on now. It's also again here there is we're not just purely dairy. We are affected by other by things they're doing in other commodities within agriculture as well. But one of the reasons that we chose the environmental farm plan is that it has actually been quite effective, and the environment is one of those things that is there's different situations or conditions or challenges in terms of environment from region to region, but not only region to region, even from farm to farm. And so this program has really been very helpful in terms of addressing whatever we as producers see as environmental challenges on our farm. And so the 4 priority areas with environment will be manure storage, manure and nutrient management on the farm, water management on the farm, and of course the use and storage of chemical inputs on the farm. And so we see those as key areas that are really important for farmers. So we will also be, the program should be almost fully developed by this summer. There will be some tweaks. There won't have been a pilot project on this module by the summer, but it will be coming the following year. And a number of years ago, Dairy Farmers of Canada did a life cycle analysis on Canadian dairy production. And so it was actually quite, we commissioned Qantas to carry out this study, and the results were actually quite good. We are actually quite efficient in using water, land, and air resources to produce milk. But of course, we're also continuing to look for ways to improve that. I mean, we're all up to the challenge of continual improvement. And so this was very helpful. The information that we got from this study also helped us in terms of the work that's being done on the environment module, and this is partly what steered us to the environmental farm plan as well. Then there's the timelines. You can see that if you look at the green part of the bar, that indicates the programs that are under development. So you can see that our goal is to have these programs developed by July of this year. And then the yellow part of the bars are for on-farm training and phasing it in. Then the validation begins with the light blue part of the bar, and then 100% validated and registered. In the dark part is when the program, everybody has been validated and is registered on that module as well. So you can see that we're quite, we decided to phase this in over a number of years. Of course, milk quality was, like I said earlier, we've had major focus on that over the years, and we're certainly there. CQM will be by the summer, is of course when we expect everybody to be fully on it, and traceability and animal traceability will be in 2017. The animal care, the validation period, like we are in this training, on-farm training now, and so those that will begin. It will be so as you can see on these different dates that we've brought these in at different times, so that it allows producers to prepare for it, and so one of the we wanted to have this developed as early as possible, so that's why we've chosen 2015. What that helps us do is, in terms of integrating these programs, we want all of these programs have been built on the CQM platform, and of course it's important that these programs are integrated. We're trying to not have overlap between the programs. So by developing them all at the same time like this, we can make bring these look at these synergies, and so when this is fully completed, it's going to be one proAction program. It's not going to be a program with all these different modules. It will have very much the look and feel of one program. I'd like to say too that when we started this, the proAction, the discussions on our proAction initiative, we had established some guiding principles as we worked through this. So this was it was important to us that these modules would be designed by farmers, and of course that we also have other experts who have been involved in the development of these programs. Continuous improvement. So this will continue to be a dynamic program that will evolve over time. It will be mandatory for all farms across the country. It will be transparent and recognized by regulators, stakeholders, and of course our society, and that's very important. It will improve. It will actually improve the sustainability of Canadian dairy farms. We are also very cognizant of the principle of cost efficiency, user friendly, and of course value to farmers. We will use existing expertise and in terms of developing these programs. proAction will have the same timelines for all dairy farms, so that we will be treated the same and equally across the country. We'll have the same obligations and consequences for all dairy farms across Canada, and it'll, as I said earlier, it'll use the existing CQM program framework and infrastructure. So then it's we're somewhat familiar with that already for the most part. It will be there will be credible and independent audits being done on the in terms of every farm will be audited independently. independent people. And proAction will partner with governments in terms of implementation of the programs. And of course, both DFC and the member organizations will provide the necessary resources to implement these programs. Basically, the benefits for farmers here are this is overall going to be a valuable management tool for farmers. It will also establish continue to establish our leadership and trust that we enjoy on the part of consumers. The CQM will minimize the risk of contamination, and of course track the temperature of milk and wash water. The animal care as a consumer, it will be important for consumers to know, and there's going to be proof that animals are well treated and that we know good care, and we know that good care equals productivity. It's Canadian high quality. Traceability, we did learn some hard lessons from BSC, and so we have to ensure that when these kind of things happen, that we are prepared for it and we can address and trace these cattle very quickly. Biosecurity, of course, it helps us. I think many of us can think of times when we would have wished we would have done things a little bit different to not introduce some disease on the farm, and then it's so much harder to try to get rid of it later. But it is about, of course, being very proactive in terms of preventing these kind of things from happening on the farm. Then there's the environment, and that's it's all about good soils, nutritious crops, and long-term farms. I think it's a benefit. I mean, as I said earlier, we spend so much of our lives right on the farm. For many of us, it's also it's also our recreation center. So not only do we work on our farms, but we also live on our farms. And ultimately, this is independent validation, and it's proof. And with proof, you can also develop trust. So just in conclusion then, proAction should provide assurance to customers about what we do, and the existing infrastructure will, of course, allow for the integration of future modules. And we need support from our farmers, we need support from our partners and suppliers and processors and clients. So we can all be successful in this together. Effective communication is going to be important to all audiences. That is going to be the key to the success of this initiative as well. And ultimately, proAction is building equity and support for our Canadian dairy brands. And in this world, that's really what all things come down to. Everybody is kind of on the same focus. Because again, these things do matter to consumers. So this is basically, the proAction is created by farmers with our stakeholders, and it is for the benefit of the whole industry. So with that, I will open it up to questions.